Poveglia Island, Italy. Poveglia lies between Venice and Lido in the Venetian lagoon. During the 18th century, it became a quarantine site for ships suspected of carrying the bubonic plague. Thousands of infected people were confined here under strict isolation. When victims died, their bodies were cremated in large open pits, creating layers of ash-rich soil mixed with human remains. Archaeological studies suggest that up to 100,000 people may have perished on the small island during successive outbreaks. In 1922, a psychiatric hospital opened in one of the former quarantine buildings. Reports from the mid-20th century described poor conditions typical of many asylums of the era: overcrowding, minimal treatment, and experimental procedures such as early forms of electroconvulsive therapy. The facility closed in 1968, leaving the structures to decay. Today, the island's buildings are collapsing under humidity and salt air, floors are unstable, and asbestos remains in the walls. Because of its structural and biological hazards, public access is officially prohibited without permission from the Italian government. What makes Poveglia unnerving is its combination of visible decay and verifiable human history. Bones occasionally surface through eroded soil, the vegetation grows unusually dense due to nutrient-rich ash, and air currents carry hollow echoes through empty wards. The danger here is not supernatural, it's the instability of abandoned masonry, exposure to mold and contaminants, and the isolation of an uninhabited island surrounded by tidal currents that can change within minutes. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. Aokigahara sits on the northwest flank of Mount Fuji, atop ancient basaltic lava flows from historic eruptions. The ground is not ordinary soil, it's a jagged, porous rock mat riddled with lava tubes, cracks, and hidden pits. Roots can't penetrate deeply, so many trees grow shallow and topple unexpectedly in wind. Footpaths fork and fade because loose volcanic debris doesn't hold prints well. This geology creates constant tripping hazards and blind dips that swallow sound and light, producing an eerie, muffled quiet beneath a dense canopy. Navigation is unusually hard here for simple physical reasons. The forest floor offers few stable landmarks, boulders and toppled trunks repeat the same patterns, and undergrowth screens distant reference points. The canopy blocks sky cues like the sun's arc or stars. Magnetic compasses generally work, but the iron-rich rock can cause minor deviations. More practically, the problem is line-of-sight loss, not magnetism. GPS reception can drop under thick foliage and in depressions. Because many trails are unofficial and unmaintained, hikers tie bright tape to branches to mark their route, an improvised method that hints at how easily people become turned around. Rescue is slow. Uneven lava ridges limit vehicle access, radio contact is spotty, and nightfall arrives quickly under the canopy, increasing risk of falls into concealed holes. Culturally, the forest's reputation amplifies its dread. In recent decades, the area has become associated with suicides, and local authorities conduct regular patrols and post signage with crisis resources. The reputation feeds back into the experience. Visitors arrive primed to interpret every snapped twig and deadfall as ominous, while the real, non-supernatural dangers, poor footing, sparse wayfinding, rapid disorientation, and limited rescue routes, are what make Aokigahara one of the most objectively risky forests in Japan for the unprepared. The Catacombs of Paris, France. Beneath Paris lies a network of former limestone quarries repurposed in the 18th century to store the city's overflowing human remains. As cemeteries reached capacity and public health crises mounted, authorities transferred the bones of an estimated 6 million individuals into these tunnels. Workers stacked femurs and skulls in decorative patterns along walls, creating corridors of human bone several kilometers long. The catacombs occupy only a fraction of the total quarry network, which extends for roughly 200 miles beneath the capital. Conditions underground are constant. About 14 degrees Celsius and near 100% humidity. Airflow is limited and oxygen levels can drop in the deeper, unventilated sections. Unauthorized explorers known as cataphiles sometimes enter restricted zones through hidden access points, where hazards include loose ceilings, flooded galleries, and disorientation from the labyrinth's repetitive geometry. Lighting failures or fog from condensation can erase visibility within seconds. Paris authorities maintain only a small visitor section. Beyond it, trespassing is illegal due to collapse risk and difficulty of rescue operations. The unease in the catacombs stems from their physical reality. Walls lined with human remains, narrow corridors that constrict movement, and total darkness if lights fail. It is a space engineered from necessity, not malice, but one that forces direct confrontation with mortality on a geological timescale. Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat was founded in 1970 to house workers of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. On April 26, 1986, Reactor 4 exploded, releasing vast amounts of radioactive isotopes into the atmosphere. Within 36 hours, the entire population of 49,000 was evacuated. The city remains within the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a restricted area established to limit radiation exposure. Decades later, the town is structurally intact but biologically altered. Nature has reclaimed streets, animals roam freely, and residual contamination persists in soil and building materials. The haunting silence of Pripyat comes from abandonment on a civic scale. Schools still hold lesson plans from the day of evacuation, Ferris wheels stand rusted before ever being used, and personal belongings remain in decaying apartments. While radiation levels have decreased due to isotope decay, especially of iodine-131, longer-lived elements such as cesium-137 and strontium-90 still emit low but measurable doses. Visitors require dosimeters and must follow strict route protocols to avoid hotspots, particularly near metal structures that retain contamination. The true danger is invisible. Ionizing radiation can damage living tissue at the molecular level, increasing cancer risk. Combined with collapsing infrastructure and feral wildlife, Pripyat remains one of the most hazardous urban environments accessible to tourists. North Sentinel Island, India. Located in the Bay of Bengal, North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese, one of the world's last uncontacted peoples. The island is roughly 23 square miles, surrounded by reefs that prevent easy landing. The Sentinelese have lived in isolation for tens of thousands of years and reject outside contact, often responding with projectile weapons to approaching boats or aircraft. Following India's laws and international protocols, the government prohibits all travel within 5 nautical miles of the island to protect the tribe from disease exposure and preserve their autonomy. The island's danger lies in cultural boundaries rather than natural hazards. The Sentinelese lack immunity to common viruses and bacteria. Even minimal exposure could trigger catastrophic outbreaks. Conversely, outsiders face immediate risk if they approach. Hostility is a defensive response to centuries of intrusion attempts. The Indian Navy patrols the perimeter, and enforcement is strict. Satellite imagery confirms habitation patterns, but avoids direct interference. This place is terrifying not because of legend, but because it demonstrates a living frontier between isolated human prehistory and the modern world, an encounter that could be deadly for both sides. The Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. In the Karakum Desert near Darvaza, Turkmenistan, a 230-foot wide crater burns continuously with natural gas. In 1971, Soviet engineers drilled into a gas pocket that caused the ground to collapse. To prevent methane release, they ignited the escaping gas, expecting it to burn out within weeks. Instead, the crater has been on fire for over 50 years. Surface temperatures exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius, and the glow is visible for miles at night. The site presents severe physical hazards. The ground around the rim is fractured and unstable, with pockets that can collapse without warning. Carbon dioxide and methane concentrations near the opening can reach asphyxiating levels, especially when wind drops. Approaching the crater without protective equipment risks both heat injury and suffocation. Environmental studies show continued gas seepage feeding the flame, making extinction unlikely without major engineering intervention. Its otherworldly appearance, a pit of perpetual fire in the middle of the desert, has earned it the name Door to Hell. The danger, however, is grounded in geology and combustion chemistry, not mythology. Snake Island, Brazil. Located about 90 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo, Snake Island is a 110-acre island covered in dense rainforest and inhabited by one of the world's highest concentrations of venomous snakes. The island is home to the golden lancehead viper, a species found nowhere else on Earth. Estimates suggest 1 to 5 snakes per square meter in some areas. The lancehead's venom is highly potent, capable of causing rapid necrosis and systemic failure in small mammals, and in humans without immediate treatment, death within hours. Brazil's government prohibits public visitation. Only authorized researchers enter under strict protocols with antivenom on site and emergency evacuation plans in place. The island's isolation makes rescue nearly impossible if bitten. Boats rarely anchor nearby because snakes occasionally reach the shorelines and climb trees extending over water. Vegetation is thick, terrain is uneven, and climate is humid, conditions ideal for ambush predators. The fear surrounding Snake Island is justified by biology alone. A closed ecosystem evolved for predation with no natural human presence, making it a literal natural exclusion zone. The Darvaza salt mine, Russia. In the Perm region of Russia, the Ural Mountains host massive salt deposits mined for over a century. Parts of the Darvaza-type mines have been abandoned after roof collapses and brine flooding. Deep below ground, an extraordinary phenomenon occurred. Miners carved out chambers whose walls crystallized into kaleidoscopic gypsum and halite patterns, forming a subterranean landscape of geometric color. Humidity and groundwater infiltration weakened the structure, leading to sudden collapses of tunnels hundreds of meters long. The principal dangers here are geological and chemical. The air in these mines can become oxygen poor, and the presence of hydrogen sulfide gas can cause rapid asphyxiation. Salt crystals break loose from ceilings and walls without warning. The floor may appear solid but hide pockets of saturated brine that dissolve the supporting layers beneath. Despite its beauty, the environment is highly unstable. Visiting without advanced safety equipment and geological clearance is prohibited. Unlike ruins or forests, this site terrifies through silence and tension. Tons of salt hang overhead, ready to fall at the slightest vibration. It is a reminder that even inert geology can turn lethal under pressure. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed watching, please leave a like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you would like to see more videos like this one.